When U.S. Senator Kit Bond decided to ride into the political sunset last year, the conventional wisdom was that the race to replace him would be the most watched U.S. Senate contest in the country. I had my doubts about this assumption. At about this time last year, few would have predicted that the Republicans would come within striking distance of climbing out of their legislative muck. Because of the unlikely scenario of the GOP taking back the Senate, I questioned whether the race to replace Bond would be that pivotal. Flash forward a year, and the GOP is within striking distance of retaking the Senate, thanks to more competitive than normal contests in Illinois, Delaware, California, and Wisconsin. But that doesn't mean that the Missouri race between Democratic Secretary of State Robin Carnahan and Republican U.S. Representative Roy Blunt has captivated the political masses. Instead, the two have selected narratives and press cruise control, leaving predictable fodder for political junkies and the reporters who cover candidates. Blunt has repeatedly hammered Carnahan for being a puppet of sorts for President Barack Obama, referring to Carnahan numerous times as a, quote, rubber stamp for the Democratic president. And in addition to running far away from Obama on tax cuts and the 2008 bank bailouts, Carnahan has pegged Blunt as a Washington insider out of touch with whatever is considered Missouri values this cycle. One thing that stood out for political fiends like me is how the two candidates swapped conventional roles since the last U.S. Senate election cycle. Back in those wild and wacky days of 2006, then-Auditor Claire McCaskill called then-Senator Jim Talon a, quote, rubber stamp of the unpopular administration of George W. Bush, and offered an alternative from the executive administration. In recent weeks, Blunt has been ahead in the polls, and political prognosticators are handicapping the Missouri race as somewhat low on the competitive scale. One reason for this is that Blunt is hitching onto the belief that going against Obama will be as popular as it was in 2006, when it was in vogue to bash Bush. Whether this conventional wisdom rings true will depend on the events within and outside Missouri over the next few weeks. Very few statewide contests in the Show Me State are blowouts. And if things tighten up come November, Missouri may be crucial, after all, to the control of the U.S. Senate. I'm Jason Rosenbaum.